This is Weirdly Enough, your regular podcast for strange stories and amazing facts, delivered straight to your favorite podcast directory and at weirdlyenough.com. Now, here are your hosts, Andy and Len.
I know we've only been back for 1 week and we're recording this episode, and then we're going to take our winter break, or our summer break. We shouldn't be feeling all demob happy and all excited about the summer holidays coming, but we kind of are. But don't worry, remember you can go back to weirdlyenough.com and listen to any of our own old archive material, or wherever you get your podcast. Just go and have a look at the massive amount of podcasts that we've done. There's plenty there to keep you entertained over the summer. We will be back September or October time, and back with Series 5. And they said it would never work. Series 5 very much coming soon. But anyway, today it's all about Nostradamus, which is something that very much interests me. So it'll be a good one to talk about.
I've always been fascinated by Nostradamus. He was born in December 1503 as Michel de Nostredame.
Okay.
And it's usually Latinized as Nostradamus. Died in July 1566. He was a French astrologer, apothecary, physician, and reputed seer. He is best known for his book Les Proheties, I think it is, published in 1555. A collection of 942 poetic quatrains, allegedly predicting future events. In the Prophecies, Nostradamus compiled his collection of major long-term predictions.
Right.
The first installment was published in 1555 and contained 353 quatrains. The third edition, with 300 new quatrains, was printed in 1558 and then published again in an omnibus edition after his death in 1568. This version contains one unrhymed and 941 rhymed quatrains, grouped in 9 sets of 100 and one of 42 called centuries. Now, the early weird prediction that he did was of his own death. Now, the celebrated 17th century diarist Samuel Pepys talked about this in his diary in 1667. And Pepys recorded in his diary, because he used to record various interesting news from around the world, about like a weirdly enough of the 17th century, and there was a legend that before his death, Nostradamus made the townsfolk swear that his grave would never be disturbed, but that 60 years later his body was exhumed, whereupon a brass plaque was found in his chest, correctly stating the date and time when his grave would be opened and cursing the people that exhumed him.
So he got exactly the year right?
Yes.
Wow.
Exactly right. And a curse upon those who disturb the body.
And what happened to the ones that disturbed the body then?
I don't know. Probably some awful fate befell them. One of his most cryptic predictions is believed by many to have foreshadowed the Great Fire of London in 1666. The full quote reads in English: "The blood of the just will commit a fault at London, burnt through lightning of 23 the 6. The ancient lady will fall from her high place. Several of the same sect will be killed."
Well, nobody was killed in the Fire of London, were they?
Bloody loads were in the Fire of London.
Really?
Oh, aye, yeah.
Right.
Sure, half the town burnt down, so I would imagine there would be a few fatalities. I'd say so, like.
I always thought that I went down to the Fire of London. There were 6 recorded, but most historians argue that this is because the fire left no evidence of life, and many more may have been unaccounted for. But yes, I always
only
heard,
6 people.
Yeah, 6 verified deaths.
That's a bit of a Mandela effect, because I feel like hundreds of people died.
No, because I think it moved slowly and they all just
got to that's
got to safety. Yeah,
a Mandela effect.
And as the fireman who came to the scene first looked at it and said a woman could piss it out, so they were all right.
Researchers found this could refer to the Great Fire of London in the 17th century, and that 23 to 6 could be interpreted as 20 by 3 plus 6, which equals 66, as in 1666. Who the ancient lady was remains a mystery.
What did he say the ancient lady will fall?
Let's see, what did they say? The ancient lady will fall from her high place. Several of the same sect will be killed.
Were any churches
Could be.
destroyed? Maybe it was like an angel or something like that, you know, like a statue.
Could be, mate, could be. An infamous production references the rise of the infamous Moustache Man in the 1930s.
Right.
As he writes, from the depths of the west of Europe, a young child will be born to poor people. He who by his tongue will seduce a great troop, his fame will increase towards the realm of the east. Later he writes, beasts ferocious with hunger will cross the rivers. The greater part of the battlefield will be against Hester.
Right.
That's quite era.
Yeah.
Into a cage of iron will the great one be drawn when the child of Germany observes nothing.
Right.
Hitler's rise to power and the invasion of most of Europe was assisted in part by his talent for ordering.
Yeah.
The line by his tongue will suggest a great troop is thought by some to be a direct reference to these events.
Right.
Other prophecies include the Kennedy assassination. The great man will be struck down in the day by a thunderbolt, an evil deed foretold by the bearer of the petition. And he also allegedly predicted the atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Near the gates and within 2 cities there will be a scourge the like of which was never seen. Famine within plague, people put out by steel, crying to the great immortal God for relief. And most notably, some believe that Nostradamus predicted the September the 11th attacks with the passage, earth-shaking fire from the centre of the earth will cause tremors around the new city. 2 great rocks will war for a long time.
Right.
Now, he's got some scary predictions for 2023.
Let's hear them.
This is scary.
Well, he also predicted in 2022 there would be a global famine and people would start eating themselves, eating each other.
He predicts it for 23 as well.
Alright, okay.
Depending
well,
on what
they still got a few months to go, I suppose.
clickbait you click on in your course of research. Nostradamus predicted that humanity may face the threat of cannibalism due to a failing economy, writing, there are no abbots, monks, no novices to teach. Honey will cost more than candle wax. The price of wheat will be high. Man will be agitated and eat his friend in despair. And they do seem to predict that the cost of living will get worse, and it has been pretty ferocious. I was up in Bangor last week, and I went to buy 2 pints of ale.
Right, okay.
For myself and a young friend of mine.
Was it from a buxom barmaid?
No, it was from
a
sort of, I don't know, an intellectual looking chap.
Alright.
He was, he seemed, I don't know, they didn't look like the usual type of a barman, but I fished out a tenner, confident that it would cover the price of the 2 pints, but it wasn't enough.
No.
So, you know, I was quite appalled by it. But anyway, and I was agitated.
I'm sure you were. Did you think about eating your friend?
Well, not really, because I just had like a big steak.
So that's alright.
And it was one of the few remaining pubs that do like old school, you know, just a packet of crisps.
Were there any priests or novices?
No, but funnily enough, on the bus home, I sat beside a nun.
Oh, right.
So, randomly.
I thought the only nun left was that woman that used to work for the BBC, Martina Purdy.
I think she was she was a young lady from Africa.
Right.
From what I can say. So, one line in the Mystics book stands out in particular, and it reads, 7 months of great war. People die because of evil, but their light will not fall into the hands of the king. This prediction could refer to the Russia-Ukraine war, escalating into World War III.
Right.
The most recent world event that people have claimed is linked to his book was the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022. Following her death, Nostradamus' books exploded. It seems to be linked to the following prediction. Because they disapproved of his divorce, a man who later they considered unworthy, the people will force out the king of the islands. A man will replace him who never expected to be king. Some consider the passage to be referring to His Majesty King Charles III.
Yes.
and his famous divorce from Diana, Princess of Wales. They believe that based on this, King Charles will abdicate in 2023.
Okay.
In this scenario, the prediction states that Charles will be replaced by Prince Harry. Instead
Who didn't expect to be king, yeah.
Yeah, instead of William the Prince of Wales. This was due to the reference to the man who never expected to be king. Now, his next prediction is something I'm very excited about.
Okay, what's that?
Nostradamus seems to suggest that Elon's plans... Actually, well, I'm not actually excited about this, but Elon Musk's plan to colonise Mars may come off the rails in 2023.
Oh dear.
Nostradamus wrote "Heavenly fire when the lights of Mars go out."
Right.
This suggests great danger for the potential Mars colony.
Yeah. So.
He also seems to predict climate catastrophe in 2023. The seer writes, "The dry land will dry up even more, and there will be great floods when you see the rainbow." Nostradamus seems to predict more civil strife. He writes, "Sooner or later you will see great changes, made horrors and terrible revenges." This prediction seems to suggest there will be no social upheavals and civil rebellion in the next few months. The seer writes, "Trumpets are shaking in great controversy, and an agreement has been broken."
How many predictions did he make over his lifetime in these books and stuff? Are we talking thousands?
Bloody loads. Thousands, I would imagine, yeah.
Because, you've heard the saying, throw enough
The wall.
excrement at a wall,
Someone's going to stick.
and someone's going to stick. I'm just wondering, because there's things there that just haven't happened. And the thing about the Fire of London as well, you think, in 1666, it's bound to be a fire in London. Bound to happen. Everybody's cooking stuff and there's fires. And it's got, it was bigger than really, it was a fairly big one.
Yeah.
And he was lucky, he was spot on there. But, it could have just been a little, couple of houses going up or something, and people would have said, "Oh, that was it." Yeah. So the skeptic in me is kind of saying, well, he just made enough predictions for some of them to come true.
To be honest, he's not even really my favourite seer these days. I'm getting more into Mother Shipton, to be honest.
Mother Shipton.
Mother Shipton. She was medieval person, 15th century Yorkshire, and she allegedly predicted planes and stuff like that.
What about that octopus that predicted all the World Cup?
Oh yes, I think it's dead now.
Yeah, I don't think they live that long.
Yeah.
And then there's Blind Baba or whatever you call it.
Baba Yanga or something like that. Yeah, that's the Bulgarian one. I think is she still alive?
I think she died. Yeah.
But she was always good for.
Didn't see that coming.
Maybe do that like. But yeah, he seems to predict more civil strife for 2023. Suggests an uprising with these trumpets. There's speculation that the prophecies refer to the riots in Iran following the death of Mesha and Mami, which are ongoing and threaten to escalate. Okay, so yeah, I definitely want to return to the idea of seers.
Seers.
Big Country in the 80s did an album called The Seer.
The Seer, yeah.
Which apparently was based on some old Scottish seer.
My mate at work loves the Big Country. They were on the radio the other day and he was dancing around.
I love Big Country.
They are good, yeah.
They made their guitars sound like bagpipes.
So that's that. Thanks very much for that, Nostradamus. Very, very interesting. After the break, we're going to be coming back and talking about ghosts of Newtownards and North Down, which is the area of Northern Ireland that we live. So we're getting a bit local here, but even if you're an international listener, please stay tuned. I'm aware the podcast reach a global audience, and I know a lot of our listeners tuning in. Do you tune into the podcast? Do you think that's a thing?
I mean, you tune into the wireless, don't you?
Yes. I wish they would tune in. I wish there was a tuning button on your device that you tune and it crackled a bit and then you heard our voice. But anyway, I know a lot of people that listen to us are from North America, all around the world to be truthful about it. But sometimes I like to keep things local. I think that's an Amazon man, but we will crack on. We get asked in the comment section sometimes where our accents are from. Some people think we're Scottish, but others just can't place us. Well, both of us are from the east of Belfast, the capital city of Northern Ireland. Len here is from Cumber, originally, while I hail from the wonderful town of Newtownards. Although you do live in East Belfast now, don't you?
Yes, my parents are originally from East Belfast. Born and brought up in not born in Cumber, brought up in Cumber, sort of living in Dundalk now.
Yeah.
But yes, that's
so
sort of area like.
The eastern side of Belfast, anyway. Both towns in their modern form date back to the 17th century. This is Newtownards and Cumber, when so-called planters from Scotland settled in the land. Hugh Montgomery, known as the founding fathers of Ulster Scots, came from Ayrshire, but after being given land in Ireland, he established a town with the name Newton, which later became Newtownards. Cumber is a town best known for its whisky, which was a big industry in the 1800s. It was also the home of Thomas Andrews, the designer of the Titanic, and war hero Rollo Gillespie, known for his victories in India.
And now he's commemorated by the largest Masonic monument in Ireland.
Oh.
In the square.
Oh, that's a Masonic statue then?
That is very much a Masonic statue.
So, of course, an area with so much history must come with its fair share of ghost stories. So I want to take a look at these and delve, for a few minutes anyway, into the ghosts of Newtownards. We'll take a look first at Scrabo Tower. This is a 41 metre high structure built in the late 1850s as a memorial to Charles William Stewart. I thought he used to present quiz shows, but that was William G. Stewart.
Yes,
got it wrong. The third Marquis of Londonderry, who helped the local people with food imported from Scotland during the Irish potato famine. Scrabo is an imposing structure, not least because it stands on a 400-foot high hill overlooking the town. The tower is a landmark for miles around. It can even be seen from as far away as the Isle of Man and Scotland. Tales of whispers and banging around the tower have been reported, as well as people who claim they've seen a woman in period costume walking down a narrow spiral staircase. I'm not sure about the banging though. It sounds like a local car park which has been reported as a famous dogging spot.
Oh, we can't talk about that.
So
this is a family-friendly podcast.
So perhaps
there's no degeneracy been talking
so perhaps
about.
There's plenty of things going bump in the night at Scrabble, but maybe not ghosts. But there you are, the ghostly goings on up at Scrabble.
I'm appalled. That's absolutely disgusting.
Huntsman Bar in Newtownards used to be our watering hole, and now it's quite sad to look at. It's closed down. It's up for sale, but not as a bar anymore. It'll probably be made into apartments or something. We enjoyed the odd small libation within its wall. It's an old building with a pub dating back on the site for a long time. See, I've done my research here. I found out how long it is. They used to have a nightclub upstairs called Brandy's back in the day. I think it was also called The Edge, wasn't it? The Edge.
That always confused me, because I would have known it as Brandy's.
Oh, originally though we would have known it as The Edge because we were kind of
really?
late 90s going to it, but I think before that then it was Brandy's. I have messed up in my pagination here, but anyway, a ghost of a former landlady, Kimberly Jackson, is reported to have been sighted around the bar, keeping an eye out for unruly customers. The name of the bar was actually changed to Kimberly Jackson's for a time in her memory of the famous owner. Then I'm going to skip back in my little thing here. Not far from Cumber is Mahee Island. It's the home of the wonderful Nendrum monastic site, a place I love to visit. It's a monastery. It was first thought to have been established by St. Mochai, I hope I'm saying that right, Mochai, as early as the 5th century. How do you say that?
I have never seen that name. Mochaio?
As early as the 5th century, though archaeological excavations show the site was occupied from at least the 7th century. Nowadays the place is peaceful and tranquil, but it does harbour a feeling of violence, of unease, and you can well imagine Viking ragers laying siege to the site. They arrived in 976 AD in their longships. It's thought Mahee Island was later occupied by Benedictine monks from the later part of the 12th century until it appears to have been abandoned around the 15th century. The archaeological removal of items thought to be holy and sacred seems to have unsettled spirits in the area, and a total of 9 different ghosts, mostly made of spectral monks, have been seen haunting the area. Then we take another little trip to the seaside town of Donaghadee. It's close to Newtownards. It's home to what is contested to be the oldest pub in Ireland, Grace Nails. It dates back to 1611. The ghost of Grace only appears once, dressed in Victorian clothing. She is more likely to manifest with poltergeist activity, such as moving bottles and glasses around the bar or switching on and off electrical equipment. So I wonder, did you know Kimberly Jackson?
Possibly.
Were they friends? Taking a journey of a few miles to neighbouring Cumber now, the town is home to a place called the Ghost Hole. It's definitely worth an investigation. Have you ever heard of this story?
No.
Okay, one of the most popular stories about this area of Cumber concerns a legless beggar who would start begging at the first row of mill houses, and the resident of that house would carry him to the next house, and so on. Right. So they'd carry this guy along. Once the beggar had completed his trip along the houses, the residents of the last house would carry him a distance across a road and railway to the houses at Ardmillan. In a rage one day, the homeowner took the beggar and threw him into water, into what is now called the Ghost Hole, and it's said now the legless beggar haunts the water's edge. There you are.
That's very interesting.
The Ghost Hole. Yeah. It's the idea of them carrying this guy from... Right, you have him now.
It's funny what you should say about Mickey Island, because there always is an uneasy feeling about it.
It's peaceful, but it's also a little bit... Yeah, it's a little bit... You could imagine the Vikings arriving.
There's a sense of unease.
Yeah.
Do you recall, many years ago, in the 90s, one summer, myself and you went on a drive down Strangford area, okay? And
Are you alright?
I'm fine, yes. What do you mean?
I thought you were starting to take a stroke or something the way you were talking there. It was like,
it's called
like a word a sentence.
It's called being dramatic.
Okay.
It's called being dramatic.
Right, we're talking about taking this drive.
I am trying to build
tension
in the listener. This is a narrative technique.
Okay.
I
need to learn this.
But yes, you do need to learn this. This is entertainment. Okay. Right. Back in the 90s. Right. We went on this drive, warm summer evening. Okay. Do you recall stopping off at this place? Went for a dander. I distinctly remember we observed people in white robes on an island.
That wasn't then. That was further down, like Delamont area.
Somewhere like that. One of these places where you can walk around and
people
stuff.
in white robes. Yeah.
Conducting some sort of rite. And we were fascinated, but also slightly nervous. And then they dispersed, and we sort of had a conversation about what we should do. But then nothing ever sort of came of it.
Yeah.
So I wonder whether they sort of like dreads or something like that.
Strange.
So that's what that. I haven't thought about that for years.
I couldn't talk about this without talking about Movilla Cemetery. It's on the east side of Newtownards and only a stone's throw from our recording studio here. This cemetery was built on a site of historical importance. It's so old that the parish wall built around the cemetery has Anglo-Norman gravestones built into the wall. And I'm guessing these date from the 1100s, these Anglo-Norman gravestones. Absolutely amazing. The graveyard is an interesting place for a dander, with so many historical graves, including 3 Polish airmen who lost their lives during World War II, and a grave of the war hero and one of the founding members of the SAS, Colonel Paddy Blair Main. One of the main features of the graveyard is a historic abbey that was founded in 540 AD. The abbey was burnt down by Vikings, of course, again, Viking raiders in 825 AD, but the remains of the building stand to this day. Reports of strange lights floating around the graveyard at night have been made. Now, I live near the graveyard. In fact, I can see the abbey and some graves from my back window. I've indeed seen lights, some that appear to move, but always I've been able to identify these as headlights of passing cars. kind of reflect on the shiny graves. So I've never experienced any spooky goings on. In fact, I find it quite peaceful to live near this ancient graveyard. I like it. A lot of people would be spooked out, but I like it. Back in the town, then, and close to the Huntsman Inn that I mentioned earlier, is the Newtownards War Memorial. Witnesses say they've seen a man dressed in Victorian clothes walking around the area, and it's been said that robbers waited for their victim one night and robbed him before fleeing the scene and leaving their victim to die. The interesting thing about this account is that the memorial was only built by the Royal British Legion in 1925, so I wonder what was on the site before that then. Perhaps just a small park or something. The War Memorial is directly beside Newtownards Priory, a medieval Dominican monastery built around 1244. While no hauntings or spooky monks have been recorded that I can find, I always find the Priory a very spooky place. The site is usually locked up, but it's open on some occasions and well worth a visit. So very. I had some other paranormal activities in the area that one looked at. For example, in Ansborough, which is near Castlewell, a hairy figure was seen. A driver watched a 4-foot-high hairy figure dart across the road and disappear into a bush. This was in October 2016. UFOs seen over Bangor back in 2007, and a grey Victorian lady in 2006 to 2007 in Bangor in St Mary's Church. A site worker walking up the main path to the left of the church spotted a grey lady in Victorian clothing 25 metres away. The witness shouted to her that the gates were closed and that she would not be able to pass through. The lady ignored the worker and continued walking, passing behind the witness's work van where she disappeared. The worker searched the area, but there's no way the lady could leave without passing or being seen by the worker.
Interesting.
Yeah. It is an interesting one. They're always grey ladies, aren't they? It's like that ghost thing on TV.
Always seems to be grey ladies.
Always the grey lady. If you know any ghost tales of this local area, or indeed your own local area, why not email us, podcast@weirdlyenough.com. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to be taking a break now for excuse me, I haven't talked so much in a long time. We're going to be taking a break though for the rest of the summer. We'll be back September, October time, round about then, and really look forward to it for season 5. They said it would never work, but we're on our 5th season or series, however you want to put it. Thank you very much for listening. Do like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Leave a message if you can, leave a comment. It would help us greatly. Tell all your friends and family to subscribe to Weirdly Enough as well. We'll always keep it free. We'll always make it free for people. It's just something we enjoy doing. We enjoy talking about. We enjoy the research that goes into this, and I hope that comes across in the podcast.
And have a peaceful but enjoyable and maybe weird summer.
Oh yeah, very weird summer. That'll be good. Hopefully not too weird.
Yes.
In the
instead of world affairs,
geopolitical things. Thank you. Yes, talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to Weirdly Enough. Remember to subscribe to get the latest edition as soon as it drops. And don't forget to leave a review. Email us about anything we've discussed or with your own weird tale at podcast@weirdlyenough.com.